Good morning and happy Friday, everybody. Welcome into Denver Sports Coffee Break. DMAC Rachel V. Hill hanging out with you for the first little bit. Then we'll be joined by Cecil Lammy. Happy Friday, DMAC. How are you?
I'm doing well, Rachel. Did you have a nice birthday? I guess I should start there.
I had a wonderful birthday, filled with lots of love. I was able to talk to so many people. I honestly got this is like a very first world problem. I got so overwhelmed because so many people had reached out to me that like I couldn't keep up with my text. So I was just like kind of scrambled. And then of course we went to dinner last night and I was getting a bunch of people calling me then. So I have some calls to make again tonight, but I had a wonderful birthday.
Good.
I did not. I know a lot of people were invested in where I was going to dinner.
Yes.
We are going to the Nickel later this weekend. I ended up just going with some friends last night to Postino's Wine Bar. It was fabulous. It was exactly what I needed to round out just a very relaxing 27th birthday. So, see, Clint already said, where was the dinner? We're going to the Nickel. I've never been, but I've heard a lot of great things, so I'm excited to go. What about you? What'd you do last night?
I went to the $2 bill.
Is that really the name of it?
It's not a good place. I mean, you think it's pretty unique, and then you realize it's just $2.
Mm-hmm.
I went out to watch the hockey game with my wife. My wife loves hockey. My wife loves the Avalanche, and so we went out and watched it at a bar. We went and watched it. We went and watched those Avalanche at a bar, and I had a wonderful time spending time with her. We had a horrible time watching the Avalanche.
Gotcha. Not to start our show off on a very somber note, but Lisa Marie, she passed away.
Oh, how sad. I know. And she was just on the carpet at the Golden Globes a couple days ago. So that's a bummer, man. That's very, very sad.
Yeah, I did not know that. So, Josh.
Yeah, super sad.
Yeah, that really is. Okay, but let's get into some other news that's going around in the NFL world right now. So, Pat Surtain, Justin Simmons named to the AP All-Pro first and second team. So, congratulations to them. But then the bigger news is Brandon Staley. Is his job going to be on the line because Mike Williams is officially listed out for this weekend against the Jaguars? There was no reason to play him last Sunday against the Broncos. He gets injured. Now he's out for the first playoff game. What are you doing, Brandon Staley?
What a nightmare scenario. Like, even playing your main starters at all is kind of an eye roll moment. Dude, you were up 17 to whatever, or no, I guess it was tied, but so what? You got your guys some work. You're up. You got, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
You're done. You had a good productive quarter and a half. I have no idea what that dude was thinking. And they lost the game anyway. I mean, it was one of the stupidest things I've ever seen in my life. I do understand trying to keep your guys sharp, working through the week, staying in a rhythm. I understand all of that, Rachel. But talk about a preseason game, and you lost it anyway. And you ended up pulling your guys basically in the fourth quarter, and you're an idiot. I mean, you are just a dumb coach. I don't know how else to put it. And listen, this is why I roll my eyes a little bit with, Russell Wilson played so well. Well, he did eventually, but he didn't really play well when the Chargers were still trying. There had to be a point with the Chargers, like, what exactly are we doing here in the second half?
Yeah.
I mean, it was Rachel, it was ridiculous what happened with the Chargers. If you want to put in your starters for a series or two, I mean, even that I'm rolling my eyes out. And now you've lost Mike Williams.
You ready for this?
Crazy.
Just came out per NFL Network. He has a back fracture, sidelined for a few weeks. Oh my gosh, that is horrible. Well, first of all, best wishes to Mike Williams. A back fracture does not sound fun at all. But you have to look at your head coach and think, what on earth were you thinking? Like that, imagine, not saying Mike Williams is any less of a person or anything than Justin Herbert, but what if Justin Herbert would have gone out there and gotten his back fractured?
Rachel, what in the world is different because they knew they couldn't move because of the Ravens-Bengals game. There was nothing. They could not improve their position. This was they are so dumb. And we'll see if that impacts them as a coach. Who are the Chargers playing in the first round? The Jags? I mean, theoretically, they should be better than the Jags. I mean, you've got all-world Herbert, and not that Trevor Lawrence is bad, but he's just still a young guy coming up. Yeah, man, we'll see. You lose to the Jags. You don't have Mike Williams, Rach. You could see another coaching change, and maybe even 2 coaching changes there in Los Angeles.
Yeah, that is just crazy. And I mean, we're also seeing, obviously, kind of with the Ravens drama around Lamar Jackson. He obviously got hurt against the Broncos too. So that's a whole other thing. Like, they don't even know who's going to be their starting quarterback. The last I saw was, I believe Huntley did practice either. Maybe he might have practiced yesterday, but he hadn't practiced all week up to that. And then obviously Lamar's out, and he came out and said he has like a level 2 sprain. And is close to a level 3, something along those lines. I know I'm not a doctor, so I'm not exactly great with those technical terms. But I mean, look at the Ravens situation now. Like, that's another prime example of why you do not play your starters in a game that means absolutely nothing.
Yeah, who Aaron something or other, the kid who used to be a quarterback at Oregon, I think. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy, and they're just gonna lose to the Bengals again. Yeah. So, and Lamar's probably done with the Ravens, I would guess.
You think?
They're so contentious.
You really think so?
I mean, this is getting kind of ridiculous now. I can't imagine there's any kind of good blood between, 2 warring factions. And he is his own agent, so, he's on the front line of this negotiation. I mean, how do you think it's going there?
I don't know. I just would be shocked if they would move away from Lamar. Like, he is right now the Ravens franchise. And it's very unfortunate that he hasn't been playing and he got hurt. But, like, when you think of the Ravens, who else do you think of?
Lamar Jackson. I mean, it's crazy. So, who knows? But there's always a lot of change. Change is the most constant thing in the NFL and in life, to be deep and philosophical. So we'll see where it goes. I know this. Derek Carr will have no problem being a starting quarterback in the NFL next year. And Lamar won't either, but he wants that max contract that Deshaun Watson got. And that's, that was an idiotic deal the Haslams did with Deshaun Watson. Yeah. And, a lot of people were like, hey, Russell Wilson, he should have held out for a deal like that. His agent cost him money. Now, as it turns out, his agent probably made him a lot of money because I mean, can you imagine if Russell Wilson was trying to negotiate for a contract right now, Rachel? I mean, seriously, I'm not saying he wouldn't get signed up by the Broncos, but I mean, what would it be? I mean, certainly not what it is. So,
okay, let's play that game. If Russell Wilson was going for a contract right now, what do you think the Penners and George Payton would give him?
I think they'd make him wait. I don't think they would do a deal with him at all. I think because he'd have 1 year left. Yeah. I think they'd wait to see how things were going and then negotiate something during the season. I think they would seriously wait.
Yeah, I mean, there would be no reason really to. You'd say you have to prove yourself.
Why? I mean, why would you? What would the rush be? Oh, Russ is going to be mad. What's Russ going to do? Sit out? Fake an injury? I mean, not after last year, man. Not after last year. I mean, it was, man, talk about being wrong about something. And, to everybody. And I was one of them. So I was wrong, man. I was like, who cares? Do the deal. He's going to be great. I said that, Rachel, because I really did honestly believe you're going to be in the playoffs. You're going to be contending for a Super Bowl. He's going to be Russell Wilson. I mean, I really did believe that. And then when you looked at the Deshaun Watson contract, you could say, well, yeah. I mean, if you're going to have him for 5-7 years, you're going to save money compared to what Deshaun Watson is getting. So on the surface, everything about the smart move of the contract was contingent on Russell Wilson being good. Yeah. And I mean, that is fair. I mean, nobody dreamed in a million years it was going to be this bad. Nobody. Everybody knew he was kind of cheesy and corny and all that. So what? I mean, okay. He gets himself in shape during camp. I mean, all right, who cares? What's the big deal? Boom. It was all a big deal, as it turns out. And, Hackett wasn't the right guy because we got Hackett for Rodgers and blah, 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 blah. So anyways, you got him for another year, and I'm not anti-Russell Wilson. Everybody thinks like I'm anti-Russell Wilson. I'm just like pro-truth and pro-reality. So I'm not rooting for him to be unsuccessful, Rachel. Not at all. I don't need him to fail for me to have a belief that I'm right about something. And if I'm wrong about it, then okay. I think you can get 8 or 9 wins with Russell Wilson, Rach. I do. I just think a Super Bowl is impossible because I look at the rest of the quarterbacks in the AFC and Rachel, look at who they are. Yeah. I mean, does Russell Wilson stack up to any of them? Let me put this to you. Is there any starting quarterback in the AFC, take out Miami, just, pretend it's Tua. Is there any playoff quarterback in the AFC that you would rather have Russell Wilson over? No. I can go down the line if you want me to.
No, I want so bad to believe in Russ and, the dream we were handed less than a year ago, but it's realistically no.
Would you want Russ or Tua?
Tua.
Russ or Herbert?
Herbert.
Russ or Lamar?
Although I will say I do think Herbert's a little overrated, but still at this time, Herbert. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Then you just go. Lamar, Mahomes. Who else?
Burrow.
Oh my God. Yeah. Joe Burrow may be the best of all of them when it's all said and done. Who knows? Nobody. And then you'd have to look over at the NFC playoff teams.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Russell Wilson or Daniel Jones?
But see, that's so hard because I know Russ is past, so I know what he's capable of.
Rachel, just the fact you had to pause and think about that is ridiculous.
I know.
That should absolutely be Russell Wilson over Daniel Jones. Come on.
But look at Russ. They couldn't even move down the field how many times this year?
I'm thinking of the other NFC quarterbacks. I'd have to put in my head there. Who we got?
Zach Wilson. Who else is over there for the Jets with Zach Wilson, right? So I'd rather
would you rather? All right, you might sell me. You'd rather have Russell Wilson. Oh, all right, here we go. So there you go. So you hesitated on Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins. All right, there you go. Would you rather have Russell Wilson or Geno Smith? Would you rather have Russell Wilson or Brock Purdy?
Brock Purdy, who the hell? Although I do think I feel like this lovely streak they're going on is going to end.
Listen, let me tell you, we got a problem here. If you can't say quickly, I'd rather have Russell Wilson than Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, and Brock Purdy. We got issues.
But this is because all of those teams would, in fact, beat the Broncos. So, of course, the quarterbacks are going to go out there, and you're going to be like, wow, they look really good compared to him.
All right, for the record. I'd rather I just don't believe in Geno. I can't believe what kind of year he actually had. So
I just saw he had a record, though, of single season passing yards or rushing.
I know.
Hey, can you look that up? I just saw he had a Seahawks record.
I always thought of Geno Smith as the worst starting quarterback kind of ever in the NFL. I had such a low opinion of Geno. So first of all, good for him because he had an extraordinary year. You can't deny that. They're in the playoffs. He was the quarterback the entire season. So, but the fact that we can't, Rachel, the fact that we can't just say, duh, of course I'd rather have Russell Wilson than Daniel Jones, Brock Purdy, or Geno Smith.
I know.
And then what? Tom Brady, Dak Prescott. You should make the argument that you'd rather have Russell Wilson than Tom Brady. Tom Brady's 45 freaking years old.
I know. And he still won more games than Russell Wilson did. Okay, do we not give enough credit to Pete Carroll?
He's getting credit now. He's getting, and if he was lacking for credit, he's getting it all now.
Okay, you ready? Smith broke 3 of Russell Wilson's single season club records: completions, passing yards, and completion rate. He said this week he's not sure if some of them should count since he had a 17th game to do it.
Everybody's ripping on Justin Fields. I can't throw. He's running, blah, 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 blah. Justin Fields had more passing touchdowns this year than Russell Wilson. Okay. I mean, you're hesitating about Brock freaking Purdy.
You have to admit, though, what Kyle Shanahan is doing there in San Francisco is legitimately a miracle. Like, he's winning with every single quarterback that he's getting handed to him.
Yeah, if you put up that graphic again, what's amazing is the difference in the AFC and the NFC when it comes to quarterbacks. So on the AFC side of things, and I know Tua's not out, but if you were to include Tua there, that is all highly drafted first-round quarterbacks, all of them. I mean, from Trevor Lawrence, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Tua, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. That's it, man. And then you look at the NFC, Rachel, and that is wild, man. Yeah. It's so different. The only highly drafted first-round quarterback is Daniel Jones. And they've had a great resurgence with Brian Daboll. Other than that, Kirk Cousins traded, Geno Smith reclamation project, Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, Dak Prescott, fourth rounder, and Tom Brady, yeah, he's the GOAT, but he's 45. Yeah. I mean, what a wild difference between the two conferences. And I got a news flash for you, in case you didn't know. The Broncos, Rachel, play in the AFC, not the NFC. They play in the AFC.
It is crazy because it hasn't even been a year since we started this roller coaster of a season. Like, it has not even been a year since Hackett was hired and since we got Russell Wilson. Think about that, and think about how much we've gone through this year.
It's been unbelievable, and the biggest difference is the ownership change. So let's just take that for an example. Yeah, the owners. So I was told yesterday that there's 3 people doing these interviews. 3. George Payton, Greg Penner, and Condoleezza Rice. That's it. And they may be doing a Zoom sort of thing for the rest of the owners so they can sort of be part of it. But the 3 people that are asking all the questions, it's those 3. They are traveling a little bit, okay? They are traveling to Los Angeles to interview Sean Payton on Tuesday and then Raheem Morris as well. And these interviews are far shorter. You know, the stuff with George Payton was exhausting. He was taking like 8-9 people. They're getting on jets. They're spending 8-9 hours a day. They're traveling all over the country. They were exhausted from what they were doing. So you have a much more steadied, calm. They've already interviewed 4 candidates, Rachel, either via Zoom with Jim Harbaugh or in person in Denver. And now they're taking they only have 4 left. And they may travel for Quinn and Ryan's.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so they may travel for them too. But again, it's not like some sort of crazy sort of thing. It's just more settled down and a smaller group of people. So you don't have 9 different opinions there. You have 3. And then I'm sure the other owners will chip in their 2 cents. But it's a much more calm, streamlined process. You have seen that from the Walton Penner group. Like, they don't mess around. Like, everything they do is kind of just very to the point, more direct, more efficient. They're a more efficient organization than what was happening before. I mean, it was chaos. With George Payton and Joe Ellis was doing the best he could, I guess. But George Payton was running the whole show. And then, you hire a guy who's Captain Chaos and Nathaniel Hackett. So can you say, well, it's been a year. Rachel, it's been a year of complete chaos. And if we can look at it fairly, we would probably recognize that.
Well, at least we get paid to talk about it. And man, it's been
not
something.
Boring.
Yeah, no. This is really, really random and completely off topic, but I just got hand delivered this coffee, okay? I'm not a coffee drinker, despite me having a show called Coffee Break. I'm not one. This tastes delicious. It tastes like a cinnamon roll, and I am shocked. And I'm like, well, maybe I do need
Well, who delivered it to you?
My boyfriend did. I told him I was tired earlier, so he brought me coffee.
But you don't drink coffee, you drink tea.
I do, but I need the extra little boost today, but this tastes delicious. It's probably 3/4 creamer and maybe a little bit of coffee in there, but anyways, delicious for this Friday.
All I can say is I wish I had another human being in my life to wait on me hand and foot for my desires. So I could. So wait. So let's back up here. You needed help talking about sports. That Your job that you needed assistance from your boyfriend was a little boost to talk about sports for 45 minutes.
No, just so I don't have these bags underneath my eyes because I'm sleepy. Good Lord.
I think what it is, Rachel, you know what it is? I know what it is. It's hard to recover from that Nuggets game the other night because you're out till like midnight. You don't fall asleep till 1 a.m. and it's like, we got to do this again?
I've told you multiple times. I don't know how you do it, D-Mac. I don't know how you go to
it's Rachel. What am I drinking? Hey, what am I drinking every day?
Yeah, I don't know how you do it.
Do I not look like I just rolled out of bed? No. Hey, Rachel, I pick up steam around 3:30 in the afternoon. And like at 3:30, I'm like, I'm awake.
I'm good.
And once I wake up at 3:30, I'm usually good till about midnight,
Till midnight. Oh, I'm planning to go to bed by 10:30 tonight.
I can't get to sleep most nights before 12:31 a.m.
Oh my gosh, I would.
Well, because I'm out at a game every night.
Sleep is important. Sleep is very, very important. And you know who else will tell you that? Cecil Lammey will tell you that sleep is probably very, very important as we bring him in because we need to talk about our defensive player of the year and special teams player of the year. Cecil Lammey, how are you this morning? You got coffee too, right?
I have the largest coffee mug of all time, and it's actually a Bubba. I think I got it off Amazon. So every time I look for it, like I wash it, it's on the dish rack. I was yelling in the house, I gotta find Bubba. So there you go. And that gas station coffee here in Roxborough, nice. It's like nitro fuel. So yeah, caffeine. Going to bed at 1. But,
well, I mean, just let's break it down. So the Nuggets started at 8:00 for an ESPN game. The game goes 2.5 hours. You do some press. You're in your car at 11:30, a half-hour drive home. And then it's just you're kind of wired. You're just kind of awake a little bit.
Yeah, you can't wind down in an hour.
What's that?
You can't wind down in an hour. It takes longer than that.
You can, yeah, a lot. So, boo-hoo. What? Tears of a clown. You have to go to sporting events. Oh, man, yeah. You don't have to work until 10:30.
Kenny said, Rachel, you have to stay up for the Nuggets Clippers game. I will do that. So you're right. I will not be going to bed by 10:30 tonight, but I will be on my couch just having a very, very relaxing Friday night to stay.
Hey, on that one real quick, it's okay if the Nuggets lose this game. I'm not predicting it. I'm not even expecting it, but no big deal. Okay. They got 5 games at home after this game. This is a throwaway game. It doesn't matter. If they win it, awesome, but no big deal if they lose it. Just a heads up. The Avs losing in Chicago last night was disastrous.
Oh, I don't even know if I want to get into that.
Anyway, Cecil. Let's talk football. What are we doing?
Cecil, hit us. Defensive player of the year. Who did you take?
Yeah, I took Justin Simmons. I mean, that's who it's got to be, in my opinion. We can talk about Pat Surtain all day, but when you have 6 interceptions to tie for the league with Tariq Woolen, by the way, like, you're doing a great job at Justin Simmons. I know a lot of that stuff came a little bit later on. Maybe one of the reasons why he wasn't a Pro Bowl player, but Pro Bowl doesn't matter. All Pro matters. And DenverSports.com player of the year matters. And that's what Justin Simmons gets, a leader on this team coming through with, we've seen it a million times, D-Mac. How many times have we seen guys get paid and then they just kind of stink or their game tails off? You haven't seen that with Justin.
6 interceptions, 4 forced fumbles, all seemingly at huge times, all being game-changing moments. Justin Simmons wins by a landslide. If you want to factor in, as you should, the entire season, he had the best year of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Special teams now. I saw your article at Denver Sports. It kind of caught me by surprise who you picked, but is it just because of how bad special teams was in general, or why would you select to be it?
Here's my boo-hoo moment, D-Mac. Boo-hoo, I had to write about special teams. It would have been better to
I'm racking my head. I don't even know where you would go. I even thought to myself for a second, is it Bobenmoyer? But he was hurt, so it couldn't be Bobenmoyer.
I would have rather had bamboo shoots pushed underneath my fingernails than write about special teams. But here's what I did, Rachel. And since you read it at DenverSports.com, I spent like half of it just complaining about Montreal Washington, who sucks.
Yeah.
And then I gave it to Brandon McManus, who's not the same as he used to be. That's the problem when people come through. And McManus, so it's like, okay, so he tried more 50-yarders this year. He doesn't need to do that. He was perfect between 40 and 49, which he usually is. And then underneath 40, like 30 to 39 is always kind of weird. It's a weird spot for McManus. I don't know why. But, so his numbers were down there. So, yes, I know. I understand he wasn't what he used to be. But special teams was so bad with this team. I was like, oh, my God. I almost complained to Mace, like, how in the hell? I want to write about the Senior Bowl. Why do you make me write about this? So there you go. Brandon McManus, everybody.
We were talking about this yesterday. Do they need to bring in some competition for Brandon McManus? Because it does seem like it's tailoring off a little bit.
I mean, it's kicker. I don't think kickers are football players, which I know has gotten me in trouble before. But I was like, oh yes, always competition, always with every position, and we're seeing that point in McManus's career where he may have to beat a youngster to maintain his spot as a starter. There's nothing. That's just the NFL. That's the way it goes.
Yeah, I don't know how that could possibly be a negative. And competition for Corliss Waitman too. I mean, who cares? You get in camp 90-something players. I mean, you can do it. And you know what? You don't even have to do it for the entire training camp. Not really. I mean, you just got to make sure, hey, are we good here? Heads up, Brandon. But listen, that's somebody Brandon should easily be able to beat out. It really shouldn't be that much of an issue.
No, I agree. All right. Well, I also do want to get into a point that James Marilat made on Twitter this morning, because I want to say CBS, but not 100% sure. Somebody do it. Sean Payton against Mike McCarthy. And this is very interesting because a lot of people say, hey, would you ever give up a first and a second for McCarthy? Of course not. James said that also. But look at how similar their coaching career comparisons are. So why are people willing to jump at Sean Payton to give up so much? And bonus question, do we think some team will do it this year, Cecil?
Yeah, somebody will do it this year. Or he sticks in New Orleans. Again, people around New Orleans still think he's going to be there. But if you're a Carolina, like you've got other options, and there will be that market. And yes, this is going to happen. I want to be nice, Rachel. I mean, I don't want to be mean. Okay. But Mike McCarthy's terrible. Okay. I don't care. The records are the same. I don't care. Who's the football savant and who's the guy that had Aaron Rodgers? I know. Yeah. Drew Brees. But when you talk about offensive design, creativity, and innovation, you immediately think of a guy like Sean Payton. When you talk about a player, if the Cowboys beat Tampa Bay on Monday night, and that's a big if. Jerry's never beat Tom Brady. If they beat them, it's not because of Mike McCarthy. It's not because of it. And ask any Packers fan, how many times did they win in spite of their head coach? He was the anchor that weighed them down. That's why they only had one Super Bowl championship during Aaron Rodgers' career, because Mike McCarthy can't get over the hump, can't get it done. So records are the same. Like, this is where stats lie. And it kind of, I don't know, it's kind of annoying to me because you can bring up the numbers are the same. I'm like, but the coaches aren't the same. And the way players respond to them clearly aren't the same.
Man, I don't know. Maybe you know more about Mike McCarthy than I do. Apparently you do. I've just never been that turned off by Mike McCarthy. I've never quite really understood it. I'm not saying he's some sort of unbelievable genius coach, but the guy's a head coach. He's been successful for many, many years, and now on two different teams. So listen, if you want to tell me the specifics of the X's and the O's, why he stinks, I'll take your word for it. But as far as I consider it, excuse me, I need that sort of leader of an organization sort of guy. And I don't know. Again, I'm not saying Mike McCarthy's like the best in the world, but he's certainly not terrible. And I've actually not understood why Sean Payton is so much praise is heaped on Sean Payton. And I thought that graphic was interesting, that they've actually had a very similar sort of path as head coaches. So I kind of think, I actually think neither guy is like all that great or really all that bad. I mean, they're both two very seasoned professional head coaches in the NFL. They both have got it done, but neither one of them has been, some sort of had superstar success. I think they're both kind of like, all right.
So okay, DMAC is saying they're like airline food or hospital food. Neither one of them will have you floating up in the air like the cartoon dog that ate the biscuit, but it'll work. It's food.
Yeah. No, I mean, I look at a guy like Jim Harbaugh, and it does feel, as we get further from his interview, it feels like it's actually growing in the past, and that's so quick after David Shaw interviewed. But they do have Payton coming up on Tuesday. The one guy that has actually turned programs around significantly and has dealt with complicated quarterback situations is Harbaugh. those are his receipts.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Payton has nothing like that. Neither does Mike McCarthy. They both were lucky enough to have like superstar quarterbacks. But then again, how do you win in the NFL without a superstar quarterback? Unless, of course, you're Kyle Shanahan, I guess, and you're proving it with Brock Purdy. And we had our shot at Kyle Shanahan, and we blew it back in the day. So, to me, Kyle looks pretty special, but he's had losing seasons too. So I'll go with you on that, Cecil. I mean, if you looked at Kyle Shanahan's overall win-losses, it might not even be that impressive. I don't know. His
first 2 years, him and VJ had the same record. Remember that,
there
D-Mac?
You go. But I mean, nobody is going to say VJ and Kyle Shanahan are the same level of coach. It's ridiculous.
No.
Is not getting Kyle Shanahan, is that in the top 3 of one of the worst things that John Elway did for this organization, or where does that rank?
Drafting Josh Allen.
Okay, so is that number 1?
Nothing is as bad as drafting Bradley Chubb over Josh Allen.
So number 1.
Nothing. That is one. That is the Mount Olympus of bad draft moves, okay? Under it, though, somewhere near the summit is VJ over Kyle Shanahan. And we know that Kyle Shanahan had a great interview, and they still didn't go with him.
That just doesn't even make sense.
And they were surprised by it. That's the most disappointing thing, D-Mac, is when the word came out, like the Broncos were surprised by Kyle. How in the hell would you be surprised by Kyle Shanahan's interview with his experience and his success and his lineage? And you're like, hey, actually, the guy's not a slappy. Like, you're not paying attention.
Part of the issue, guys, is that Gary Kubiak really loved VJ. And Gary Kubiak, even though he was stepping down, still had remarkable influence on the organization. And VJ was his guy. He was, which is, I know, another weird situation, because obviously Kubiak must have had a close relationship with Mike Shanahan. I mean, he had to. So it was very, hey, you want to talk about a Game of Thrones soap opera. That whole moment was filled with it.
So is that number 2 then? Are we putting that as number 2?
Oh, man. You got to go back in time. Like, the Broncos drafted Tommy Maddox in the first round because Dan Reeves was sick of John Elway. I mean, that was pretty dumb. You got to go back to Mike Shanahan starting Brian Greasy over Bubby Brister after a Super Bowl championship. That was pretty stupid.
Replacing Jake Plummer when you're 7-3.
Yeah, you bench. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
you're 7-3.
I didn't have a problem with them drafting Jay Cutler, but you just gotta, chill for a year. You're doing all right. So, and they didn't make the playoffs that year. Rachel, there's been a lot.
I was saying when John Elway was GM, though.
Oh man, missteps with John. Well, he drafted Paxton Lynch too, Rachel. I mean,
and moved up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a homework assignment, Rachel. We got to think about that. It's on the list. How about that? It's on the list.
Okay. Well, a lot of people are also talking about Evero and, the success and how he's such a good candidate to become a head coach. And I think a lot of people here in Denver are hoping that he sticks around to be a defensive coordinator. We know he completed his interview with the Colts. And then Louis Riddick also came out and gave him a whole lot of praise too. So are you both anticipating him to return to the Broncos, or do you really think that he's getting so much praise that somebody's going to be willing to give him a chance this year, Cecil?
We're a year early in the cycle. It's like D'Amico Ryans. It's we're a little bit early, I would say, and he's not getting any love yet, but like a Zach Robinson, we're a little bit early for Zach. Mike Kafka, though. Mike Kafka, sleeper, because he's like Patty Mahomes' best friend, and what he did with Daniel Jones is very obvious, but it might be even a year early for a Mike Kafka. So with Ejiro Evero, will he be back? Sure, if the new head coach wants him back, because I think it might be just a little bit early to be putting him in the head coach conversation, which is where he clearly belongs, just like we knew with D'Amico Ryans. We knew D'Amico was going to be there. Matt LaFleur, you go back to the past and you're like, okay, there was all these guys who are those up and coming names. Evero's on that list. I just think this year it's a little bit early.
Coach E has every quality you would look at for a first-time head coach. But even he admitted you don't know how to do the job basically until you do it, meaning he doesn't even know. And he said the same thing about being a coordinator. Don't forget, this was his first year being a coordinator. So the fact that he's even up for multiple jobs is a feather in his cap. I mean, to be considered like that is fantastic. It would surprise me if he were to get the gig. Although I guess if he were to get it, Houston would probably be the most logical place for him to go to. He's interviewing there. And that maybe makes the most sense, I guess. But he is a defensive guy, and almost every team that's struggling that needs to replace a coach, is you know what team he could actually work at? Here's what's crazy. You know what team he could work at? The Chargers, if Staley gets blown out. That would be sort of a good team, solid team. They need a good, young, bright mind. But they're already sort of well established, and they're fine offensively, and they can be tweaked defensively. And you anybody with a brain in their head has got to be smarter than Brandon Staley in managing a football game.
Well, this weekend's big for 3 coaching situations. 1, I just woke up, so the McVay thing hasn't happened yet. But 2, Staley, like you mentioned, Chargers lose to Jacksonville, which is quite possible. Staley could get blown out because you've missed out on Justin Herbert's rookie contract. You've done the worst thing you possibly could do, have a superstar quarterback and not go to a Super Bowl. That's awful on Brandon Staley. And then finally, back to Mike McCarthy. If the Buccaneers beat the Cowboys because Sean Payton is out there, do not be surprised. And I still think Mike McDaniel's not safe. He was never safe. When he was hired, he wasn't safe. So that Barstool report was like 9 months old when it came out. Like, no, Mike McDaniel's always been on a hot seat because Stephen Ross is crazy. So we've got the coaching openings. We might have 3 or 4 more if it's disaster in the NFL this weekend.
We're going to do our picks here in just a little bit, but Cecil, we talked about it earlier on in the show. Mike Williams being out for several weeks with a fractured back. Is that something that you could lose your job for if you go out there against the Jags on Sunday and you just get destroyed?
Yeah, the team's totally different without Mike Williams. Totally different. And you didn't need to play anybody against Denver. Austin Eckler's getting his ass kicked out there by the Broncos. And Austin's very tough and very durable or whatever. But like when he was taking those big hits, I think it was Singleton that got him, D-Mac, correct me if I'm wrong.
Jewel,
but like
Jewel.
Oh, okay, it was Jewel that got him. Yeah. It was one of the inside linebackers that got him. But like, why? And then Mike Williams, who's already injury prone. Like you have a team that could make a Super Bowl run, and Brandon Staley's just like JoJo, the idiot circus boy with a shiny new pet. Like, he's going to mess it up.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can't believe it. Obviously, we wish Mike Williams a successful recovery. Like I said, I can't imagine having a fractured back. But I do want to get into our picks for this weekend because there's a lot of football this weekend, you guys. I'm actually kind of excited. But still very weird to see a game on Monday night. But we will start on the left side. Baltimore, Cincy. I'm pretty sure we're all going to go with the orange and black on this one. But hey, maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, no. Cincy. I mean, who's the quarterback for Baltimore? No,
it might be Anthony Johnson again.
Yeah, forget it. That's Cincy by a mile, Cease.
Yeah, it's Cincy all the way. Easy peasy on this one.
All right, Buffalo, Miami. I'm taking Buffalo.
Buffalo by a mile. Again, who's the quarterback? You got to play in Buffalo. And there's a certain, karma going on with the Bills right now. That's Buffalo.
Yeah, it's Buffalo, and I love Skylar Thompson, but he's a 7th-round quarterback. He's no Brock Purdy. And, Miami, I hope you keep Mike McDaniel, but it's Stephen Ross, and he's crazy.
All right, Chargers, Jacksonville.
I'm all for chaos. Let's go, Jags.
I'd love to see it. I love what Doug Peterson is doing. I know Doug a little bit, but if Mike Williams is healthy, it'd be the Chargers. That's how much of a difference this makes. It's Jacksonville.
Okay, let's go to the other side. Giants or Minnesota?
Are the Vikings a smokescreen? Do we really believe in the stupid Vikings? I'll take the Vikings. They're at home, but I mean, golly, man. I can't believe they're real.
Yeah, and it comes down to quarterbacks and coaches in the playoffs and also running the ball. Well, if you look at quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, the way Daniel Jones is playing this year, he's not out of the question. Coaches, I love Brian Daboll, but of course I love Kevin O'Connell as well. And then the running game. So you have Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley. So this one's almost too close to call, in my opinion. If I root for chaos, I would say the Giants. Yeah. But if I say, okay, Isaiah Hodgins, or Justin Jefferson, well, I'm going to go with the Vikings then.
Okay, sounds good. The Seahawks and the Niners, you guys. This is Congrats to Geno Smith on doing this and Pete Carroll, I guess. But who are you taking? Are you taking the rookie QB or are you taking Geno Smith?
The dream has to be over for the Seahawks. I mean, no, I'm going with the Niners. But what a year for the Seahawks, top to bottom. But at the end of the day, the Niners have figured it out, and I think the Niners may be in the Super Bowl with Brock Purdy. How crazy is that? So I'll take the Niners over the Seahawks.
Bang, bang, Niner gang all the way. And and the great thing about Kyle Shanahan is his system makes the quarterback the least most important part, which is crazy in a quarterback-driven league that he does that, but he's had to do that. Jimmy Garoppolo's not good. Trey Lance can't play. And Brock Purdy's not good, but they can win because they have a great defense, great ground game. By the way, Elijah Mitchell's back. Deebo Samuel's back. It's 49ers all the way.
All right. Cowboys or Buccaneers?
The Cowboys are just a better team, so I will go with the Cowboys. And I'm not trying to doubt Tom Brady, so it wouldn't shock me whatsoever. But I'll just simply go with the better team, and that's the Cowboys.
I've lost a lot betting against Tom Brady, so I hate to be the guy because I just look and I've picked all the home teams. I would not recommend that. That's not going to happen, but I'm going to take the Buccaneers. I've always messed up betting against Brady, so give me the Buccaneers. Plus, I love chaos, and I hate the Cowboys, so like McCarthy getting fired and all the questions surrounding Dallas. Like, it's kind of fun to watch Cowboys fans.
Hey, if McCarthy got fired, who's a better coach for Jerry Jones, Sean Payton or Dan Quinn?
Ooh.
Oh, for Jerry, it's probably Sean Payton. So he can relive some of that Jimmy Johnson, because Jerry always takes credit for the 90s. It's like, that was Jimmy Johnson. And so he needs that guy, that rock star kind of, so he can like look up to bright-eyed and be like, what do you think? Like he did initially with Jimmy. Because if he gets Dan Quinn, then Jerry's going to keep running everything. And Jerry's ran everything not into the ground, but Jerry Jones can't run a football team. That's why the Cowboys haven't won anything.
Literally nothing.
Last playoff win was what? Quincy Carter? Is that right? The quarterback?
Tell me, I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Dennis Allen will remain head coach of the Saints per their GM. So some more news coming out there.
Oh,
also,
wow.
did I hear you say you think Brock Purdy's going to the Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah. I think they're the best team. I think the Niners are literally the best team, and Purdy's their quarterback. So, yes, I think they'll go to the Super Bowl.
Niners and
That's
Eagles,
crazy.
man. Yeah, Niners and Eagles. Let's see it. I just want to fast forward to that game.
How crazy would that be, man?
It would be insane. It would be insane. And then Kyle Shanahan probably has a lead and gags it away again, which would be his third time doing so in a big game. And the Buffalo Bills! The Buffalo Bills!
Hey, there you go.
You know what it's going to be? It's going to be the freaking Cincinnati Bengals. You guys know that's what it's going to be.
You really think so?
Don't be surprised.
I love how Joe Burrow says about his playoff window. He's like, the length of my career.
Yeah.
I love that confidence from Joe Burrow. It's awesome. So, yeah,
They're
give me that all day.
They're a loaded team, and they're the one team that beats the Chiefs on the regular. It's crazy. So, God, it would break my heart. I'm so rooting for the Bills this year. I'm as big of a Bills fan as I've ever been. And this run, me and Zach Zach's the conductor. I can't believe he's a bigger fan he is definitely a bigger fan than I am on it. But I'm right there. I'm right there with them. So let's go Bills.
You were there on the day with Jim Kelly, so you got Bills cred. You probably broken a table along the way, right? Jumped off a car or something.
See, in all honesty, yes, we're the Bills Mafia doing shots out of bowling balls back in my day. Yes, flaming shots out of a bowling ball. Okay, but the whole jumping on the table thing, that actually did not exist during the Bills heydays of the 90s. I'm not sure, I don't know when that actually started, but it did not exist while I was there in the 90s.
Okay, interesting. It's new to Bills Mafia, apparently. All right.
No, but tequila out of bowling balls, bowling ball shots, that was there.
Who came up with that?
I don't know. And then they figured out how to light them on fire. It's not enough and people would just walk around with bowling balls in the parking lot. And, and like, hey, look at this. It was fun. I'll tell you this, tailgating wise, I've never, and I haven't been to Lambeau, but for the places I've been, I've never seen anything like Orchard Park. And the reason why is because there's nothing around it. It's all a bunch, and it's very flat. There's no hills. There's no highways. It's like a college environment. It's just these flat, wide open fields that are parking lots. So it's just easy to sort of, get around and get to them. It's like tailgating for the Broncos. It's such a crazy mixed bag because the parking lots are all up on hills and there's highways and, it's just, I don't know, man. It's just not the same. I'm not trying to rag on Broncos fans. It's just the layout of the stadium that makes the difference.
Maybe why they should move it out towards DIA, but that's a whole other conversation for another time. If the Bills win, maybe we try and find a bowling ball to give this a
shot out of a bowling ball.
All right. It'd be fun. I'm here for it. All right. On this Friday, thank you so much, Cecil, for hanging out with us for a few minutes. DMAC, as always, a pleasure. And to everybody else in the comments, thank you so much. We hope you have a wonderful weekend. And we'll be back on Tuesday because Monday we are off. So we'll be back Tuesday, 10:30 a.m. We'll see everybody then. Bye, everyone.
Pray for the Avalanche.
Pray for the Avalanche. And let's have some fun wildcard games.